Hey there, my name is Sjöfors. I'm also known as the Price Whisperer. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about customer segmentation. Now you may wonder, how can customer segmentation and pricing has anything to do with each other? And I would contend that they have everything to do with each other, because what you want to do when you do your customer segmentation is that you want to know how you can price for each of the segments that you define. And customer segmentation is often done at a way too high level. Whether you're in B2B, it's often things like industry, company size, location, and in some cases, use cases. But it's not really good enough. And the same if you're in if you're in consumer goods in one way or another, you're selling to individuals. The same thing. It's too high level. Companies are segmenting on demographics, location, income, educational level, number of kids, number of pets, stuff like that. That's obviously better than doing nothing, but it's not good enough. What you need to do when you do your customer segmentation is that you need to know how each of the segments is affected by their willingness to pay, so that you can focus on the segments or segments that will lead to the highest sales volume at the highest prices, right? That will give you the highest profitability. What do you do with the money? Well, you put it back in the company, of course. You use it to more product development, for more marketing, for anything you can do to become more competitive, maybe nicer product design. I don't know. It's all up to you. But you need to know how all the segments are affected by their willingness to pay, and how willingness to pay affect the segmentation that you're doing. And if you don't know that, you cannot set prices for each of the segments. And you want to have prices for each segment that make sense for the segment. And how you find that in research, in marketplace research, and that measure willingness to pay both in B2C and B2B. And to understand what features, functions, and benefits that will lead to the highest sales volume at the highest prices. You want to know what marketing channels and marketing messages leads to the highest sales volume and the highest revenue. You want to know the features, functions, and benefit of your products or your service that leads to the highest sales volume and revenue. And obviously the sales channels and sales methodology that leads to the highest sales volume and the highest revenue. And unless you have done all that based on willingness to pay measurements, you don't know, right? Then you may identify segments that are sounds very attractive, but have a low willingness to pay. So you can't charge high prices, right? Now, I'm taking this to extreme, of course. Most companies do segmentation of customers, and it's better than no segmentation. But I'm suggesting that you want to take this to the next level by including willingness to pay and therefore be able to set prices that make sense to each of the segments, right? So you can make sure that you're not leaving money on the table anymore, because you have segments that make sense because it's based on the decision behavior and willingness to pay, and you set prices according to that willingness to pay, so you don't leave money on the table anymore, and that leads to pricing power. And companies with pricing powers are typically, not always, but typically, the high price market leader, the high value leader, right? And I should say valuation leader. And if you own a company, or if you're a shareholder in a company, valuation is everything, right? So think about this when next time you customer segmentation comes up in your head. that it has to include willingness to pay, and therefore different pricing strategies that could minimize sales friction and maximize sales and revenues, making your company the market leader, the high priced, high valuation market leader in your business. Thank you much for this time, and come back and see me again soon. Thanks.